And I guess this is about as live as it may get. Okay. Let's see what the base looks like. Wait, if I put it upside down. Yeah, this camera upside down. Okay. Are we there yet? Okay. Still not looking the way it should. A little better. Okay. Hmm. Oy vey. Let's see. Who do we have? Uh, mm, golden lady, golden lady, I love to go. Golden lady, golden lady, I love to go. Yeah, take me right away. No, I just sing to myself. That's what. That's what that is. Let's go. However, here we go. Okay. Do, do, do. Usually there's music in the background. Oh, how I love music in the background. But whatever I'm doing and whatever I'm doing is, oops, come on, work with me. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. They are here somewhere. Okay. So, just had them. Okay. God bless every single soul. Bless every single soul. Just think on yourself. Okay. And everything I said to oh, it didn't go out. Oh, yeah. Okay. Looked like it had, but I guess it hadn't. Oh, I hear someone coming on. That's so nice. And I can't see you right now, but you will see me in a moment. You're here. Oh, okay.
Face.
You're on the face? Okay.
Your lovely face.
Oh,
all this time
is that what
we're on camera.
Because of what's going on, you will get to see my absolutely gorgeous face in one moment. There we go. Oh my God.
Don't see that.
Oh
You
my God.
look gorgeous.
Huh?
You look gorgeous.
Well, thank you so much. Is there any way I can pay you for that in advance about these comments? How are you doing this evening?
Fine, doing really good actually. I've been eating much healthier and I feel really good. Like much lighter. I detoxed first and then I finally got the motivation to, I got the message, get out of the there.
You got the message.
Yeah.
Well, it's always good to pay attention to the messages.
Do you know, I saw a channeling from Glastonbury. Cried like a baby. Heart center makes sense. It's the heart chakra of the earth.
Okay.
So it really resonated. But oh, I can't wait to go out to Sedona. I'm really excited about that.
I may be going to Sedona next year.
Great.
Yes, I'm going to say next year because it's a part of my school's residencies, and so I'll be out in that area. But I don't have to go until next year. Is when I have to double check the schedule. But I'm almost certain that next year is a win on that, if not before then. And I love residencies. But yeah, I've alerted the crew. Let's see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is anyone else joining us? You know, the last time I talked to Akil, she said that she always tries to log on and she has technical problems.
Well, I sent
Yeah, the
her.
last time
I sent her. Let's see. I'll send her again. I send first, like I did for you. I send the link to the email, and then I send it on the messenger on Facebook. And so
I have to show you. Oh, okay. No, I was just going to show you real quick. I just got these in the mail. I ordered them from that. This is the booklet for them. You can see that. They're shaman oracle cards.
Ah. Okay.
And they're gorgeous. Like
how many to the deck?
62, I think. Well, you know, it's interesting because I was up with my daughters and she reads tarot and she read me. So this, you know, message comes out, we're talking. So I ordered these and I read myself and it almost mirrored what she said. So I said, we must be on the right track there. But I have a lot of, two things come up. One is I know I need to work on forgiveness. The other is procrastination, which I know comes up in my astrological chart as well. I have a tendency to say later, next time, next month, you know, like that. That one said, you know what you need to do, get going and do it. And also, yeah, don't be so impatient because they said that sometimes I like expect things too quickly. And I'm right where I'm supposed to be, but there's more learning I need to do.
Well, forgiveness is a really big challenge right now for the planet. It's not just you. It's a biggie. It's at the top of the list. And it usually goes before procrastination. People that have a challenge with forgiving and they know they have a challenge with forgiving. So it kind of plays out into procrastination. Um, but, oh, is that you?
Yeah, I just increased the sound there so I could hear you better.
Okay. Oh, let me see. Wait a second. Sometimes I do that. I don't position the, okay, headsets in place. All right. Now, sometimes I'll go for a certain period of time and I don't realize I've muted myself. So that's a challenge. But yeah, so your daughter does tarot cards. Very good. Very good. It's a tool, you know.
Yeah.
It's a very good tool. But
Well,
as long
I've
as,
heard that it increases your intuition. So it makes it, stronger. So I told her that she already has gut feelings, but I said, if you work with that, that's supposed to enhance it, what I was told. Is that true?
well, I don't know if you remember because it was back during the time when they started making the ESP studies popular or coming out into the public. You've seen these cards. They're not tarot cards, but they're cards that they would use to flashcards to help motivate the psychic or intuitive abilities in individuals. And some of them will have circles. It looks basically, or what it is really, is sacred geometry. But they're on cards. They used to call them ESP cards. I think you probably could still find them. The bottom line is that the tarot is sort of like a flashcard system that helps to initiate your intuitive tendencies. Where everyone is intuitive.
Yeah.
It depends on to what level you accept it and how far you're willing to accept the level that it comes in on. But the symbols on the tarot cards are very instrumental in triggering your intuitive abilities. I've got cards all over the house. However, we won't go into my tarot card stories. But but I know that it has that, I won't say ability. It has that, it gives that opportunity for you to kind of like, it's almost like subliminal if in comparison. If you sit and look at, say for instance, a movie, and in movies, people don't realize it, but it takes 28 frames to give emotion to something in a movie. Just to observe an arm or a hand being moved. That's 28, 28 flashes that your brain is getting through your eyes. And so it's that's subliminal as well. So anything to get that inner instinct moving and motivated, that's what is the best thing at the time. Some people work better with tarot. Some work better with, there's all sorts of tools that one can use, but tarot's really good. Runes are good. The You've seen the Celtic runes. They're good. What other culture? Some cultures use stones. It depends on, it depends on what helps you in triggering your abilities. I mean, there's certain people that can only read with certain decks, and then there are people that can read with any deck, and that can be considered a part of your karma as well. Because when we start waking up our gifts and abilities, what comes through as well is what's in our history, our karmic history, that, you see some people are fascinated by Asian art or African art, and they have no idea, there's nothing in their immediate family to give them that impression of why that would be, but it might be a karmic influence that's stirring up something that will bring about the gift that they have. They brought it in with them, and it's just kind of waiting to reopen.
Are are we going to read, or what did you have planned for?
Well, we're going to read. We're finishing up the last chapter. I just wanted to get a sip of water.
Yeah, was it Living from the Heart? What was the chapter we were on? Living from the Heart, wasn't it?
Yes, we're living from the heart. And I haven't, I got to back up a little bit to be able to see this. Okay. Living from the Heart, page 22. And it's section 3. The heart, mind.
Yep, that's
right. The heart, mind, intention.
Wow, I remember where we left.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And it's not that many pages, I don't think. Not that many pages. Okay. I am still vibrating from my last session with the electromagnetic frequencies, so I'm still
Really?
yeah,
Man, that must have been wrong.
Yeah, I'm still vibrating somewhat. So just bear with me for a minute. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Can you still see my face? Oh.
Uh-huh.
Sort of. Okay. Because I'm trying to make sure I can see what I'm reading. All right. And just in case anyone else who gets a chance to look at this, I am Reverend Sharon, and this is the Wenwich Howell practice booklet that we're reading from. It's a part of the assignment, I guess you could call it, that we have from the Lyricist group. And well, hopefully a few of the other people will be able to make it this evening. But basically, this is the last chapter of the book. And we shall continue. Oh my gosh, she made it. Oh my goodness.
Yay!
Oh, we're all going to be rich women.
Not on.
We were just talking about Akil.
Love those glasses.
Yeah, Akil can't get on, and so I sent you 2 texts. So I'm glad that you're on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, dear.
Oh, wonderful. Well. I'm so happy. Thank you.
I'm happy also. Glad to see your face. We're reading from the last chapter from the Wenwich Howell practice. And it is, let's see, the name of the chapter. I'm going to send you the page. I don't think you have the book yet, right?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to just, if I don't get it to you before the weekend, text and remind me, because I was just telling Sherry that I'm still vibrating from my last session down at John's. The chapter the chapter is Living from the Heart, and the section is the Heart, Mind, Intention. We're on page 22, and good evening, greetings, Om Shanti, and we shall begin. Okay. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm trying, this is tryouts here. Okay. Part of the practice intersects with what some might refer to as the law of attraction, power of thought, or the imprint of intention. These concepts relate to how the focused thoughts of the mind, coupled to the expectation of belief, can influence our experience of reality. There is some truth in these concepts, but they are not the drivers of reality. Reality is a much more complex thing than being a result of intentional focus or mental visualization or prayer. Part of reality is a result of your individual blueprint. Part of your experience relates to your higher self setting up experiences for you. Part is a consequence of your past actions. Part of it is a reflection of your thoughts and emotions and their energetic attraction. And part is the desire of your higher self to experience new energy fields. Only one of these elements is influenced by intention or the law of attraction. And certainly the fundamental blueprint of the designing force as co-created by your higher self and first source is not subject to the intentions or prayerful petitions of your ego personality, no matter how eloquent or heartfelt. It is a fallacy to believe that the entire matrix of reality conforms to the law of attraction, or that the mind can direct matter with precision and consistency. Nonetheless, these are pockets of reality where your intention or power of thought belief can be influential, and reality will accommodate your thought belief, sometimes with remarkable precision. The When, Which, How practice is one such place or pocket that you can carve out from reality's matrix and influence with your heart, mind, intention. Indeed, this is part of the broader practice. The heart, mind, intention imprints subtle energies within the environment which filter through the personality's inner layers or quantum levels and imprint at the speed of light upon the higher self. This imprinting is strongest within the individual. However, it also seeps into the greater environment and even those with whom the environment is shared. The environment in this definition is not the physical space, but rather the emotional ecology at the quantum level that connects people independent of time-space considerations. This specific type of emotional ecology is generated from the heart mind operating in synchrony. Okay, synchrony, there we go. And alignment. Focus on a very specific intention to operate within the When, Which, How practice. It can extend to unimaginable distances and times because it operates in non-time and non-space. The heart's domain encompasses this ecology and can emit subtle impressions to anyone connected to this ecology. In this case, the distance is a trivial factor because we are speaking of photonic energy, not magnetic or electrical. So someone connected to you a continent away is quite literally closer than a heartbeat. Okay, now there's a illustration on this page that
I'm sorry. What's closer than a heartbeat? Sorry.
The essence of our being.
Oh, okay.
is closer to each other than a heartbeat.
Okay.
Let me read that again. Okay. The heart's domain encompasses this ecology and can emit subtle impressions to anyone connected to this ecology. In this case, distance is a trivial factor because we're speaking of photonic energy, not magnetic or electrical. So someone connected to you a continent away is quite literally closer than a heartbeat. So it's one of the, let's see if I can get this illustration on camera. 1 second. And can this be seen?
Yes.
Okay. You got it. Okay. All right. And that will be for the people who tune in whenever. That's one of the reasons why persisting with this level of communication is very important. It's very subtle, but it speaks volumes. You don't have to be here. Just the thought of your intention of being here. And this is the pocket that they're trying to explain. The intention of your being here assists your energy in receiving the information, whether you're here physically or not. How did I deal with that?
Very well.
Okay, all right. Moving right along, we're on page 24. The heart, mind, intention operates similarly to how it's depicted in the diagram above. The U time space is our normal environment, while the SU, that's the second part of the illustration, is a more highly ordered and coherent field that operates outside of our time space. I will not delve into this for now, and as it is a conversation composed of many layers, for now I will focus on the process in which the heart and mind collectively send subtle energy imprints upon the inner layers of the personality self. You can feel these imprints filtering inside you like layers of sediment that filter through the water to rest on the bottom of a lake or river. These imprints are the outgrowth of your heart-mind intention, both consciously and unconsciously. The intentional energy is a confluence of the conscious writings of the heart and mind, coupled to the deeper things that are stored within the blueprint of the individual. The intuitive centers of the personality that reside within the energetic heart are more attuned to the blueprint and the deeper purpose of the soul, while the mind, operating through the ego personality, is more attuned to the heart-mind intentions created in and as an outgrowth of the worlds of time-space. You could quite literally say that there are two books that define your purpose. One is written by the higher self that is indeed co-created with First Source, and the other is written by your heart-mind based on the perceived needs of the ego personality in the worlds of time-space. The book that most people read, at least in part, is the second one. A dim recognition exists in some people that another book exists, but seldom do they discover it. I am suggesting in this paper that the first book, the one written by your higher self, is contained in the actions of the 6 5 virtues, and that the key for discovering and reading this book or higher purpose is contained in the When, Which, How practice. Why is this important? If you read only the book of purpose written by your heart mind, you will see it is entwined with the reality of the ego personality inside time-space. Its trunk line might be enlightenment or greed, which it is. Its primary concern is one lifetime, one individual, you. When these subtle energy imprints accumulate upon the inner layers of the personality, they begin to make an impression that transitions between the worlds of time-space and the dimensions of the soul within the individual. The higher self or soul evaluates these impressions and determines their state of alignment to the higher self's own blueprint and learning requirements. Okay. If they are aligned, they are then added to the energetic buildup that atom by atom, coalesces into manifestation in the time-space domain. I have to have a sip of water. Sorry, ladies.
I'm gonna grab some.
I got a question. I have a question about the blueprint. Is it something that it changes, or is it something that's always changing, or is it like the blueprint? Is that from lifetime to lifetime, or?
That's from lifetime to lifetime. According to James Mayhew, we focus specifically in one lifetime at a time. And so
okay, so it changes with each lifetime?
Yeah, it would change with each lifetime. I know that's always been a curiosity for me as how people can come through, the same soul can come through and have memories from so many different lifetimes. And I know in yoga, the theory is that we live all lifetimes at the same time. What James is saying, what James is saying is that when we relate to our higher consciousness book, we are working only with one lifetime at a time.
Okay. Do you want me to pick up where you left off? Or?
Oh, that would be nice. Thank you so much.
This manifestation operates independently of linear time. In other words, the heart-mind intention, as it enters the higher dimensions of non-time space, begins to manifest in space and time. But the time might be in the future or past. This is a subject all its own, and it is complicated to address in words that can be easily understood by the mind. So I will only touch on the surface level structure. The deeper textures and intricacies will be described in a later paper, or perhaps will be the discovery you make as you work with these materials. Some of you will find impediments to manifestation, independent of your presumed actions, thoughts, and words, and to some extent, this is true. The higher blueprints of First Source and your higher self overshadow the manifestations of your ego personality. There is also the burn-off of centuries-old energetics. We were just talking about this, which have accumulated and act as buffers to manifestation. Just know that if you find resistance to your dreams, hopes, and prayers, it is not always a result of your behaviors or the law of attraction being unresponsive to your skills. There is a tremendous accumulation of the third dimensional energetics, and these constrain the higher energetics born in your higher practices. But these are the very conditions or catalysts that transform or burn off the old energetics and create the shift into the higher dimensions of being. This is all part of the reason to transform the accumulation of third dimensional grids of energy into higher dimensional grids that can shift these energetics and move the planet and its visitors to its next incarnation within the higher octave of new energies, discoveries, and supernal destiny that supports the grand portal. I had that highlighted, so I must have come back to that. Yeah, no, when we were in the class, I had that highlight. Okay, the degree to which we apply our heart, mind, intention usually correlates to the degree we genuinely accept our divine power as co-creators of new realities. If we fear our divinity, our application of intention is typically diminished, even if we practice it with diligence. True. Simply practicing a new discipline doesn't attract its full power. There must be an attendant belief, a genuineness in the practice, that what you are doing is part of a larger plan that is connected like bricks in a wall to a larger purpose. This attendant belief often takes a while to accrue its power. It is not something you can manufacture artificially. In a sense, it's part of the learning curve and grows over time as you become more comfortable with the practice or technique. Keep going or?
Keep going.
Okay. Our interconnection. That's from Albert Einstein. A human being is a part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and his feelings as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature and its beauty. Nobody is able to achieve this completely, but the striving for such achievement is in itself a part of the liberation and a foundation for inner security. If we accept the view that heaven is not a place, but a state of consciousness, we can place our emphasis on our work and learning how to express the sense of our life to the benefit of all. We find our sense of inner connection with one another growing, and we usually appear to be separateness and isolation. Outward through the eyes of separation is changed through the application of the when, which, how practice, because its signature strength vigil with the sense of humanity, but because it kindles the natural perception we have of our intrinsic interconnection with one another that we feel within our hearts. One of the perennial truths that psychologists have uncovered is that the best determiner of happiness is the degree to which a person has meaningful relationships. Relationships that are truly meaningful have a foundation of emotional maturity that imbues genuineness to the relationship by means of assisting others to flow through the density of everyday encounters with greater ease and understanding. This goes beyond trust. You can trust someone who is honest, but it doesn't necessarily signify that the relationship is meaningful and authentic in service to a greater good. There is a story in chaos theory that infinitesimally small actions can eventually cause major changes. For example, the butterfly flutter ultimately causing hurricanes on the other side of the globe. Is that true?
Yes.
This story is a good metaphor for the intelligent communication that occurs from the smallest particles of existence to scales. There is a vast interconnection, not only between humans, but between all particles of existence. And this interconnection is intelligent, communicative, and part of a designing force that we all exist within.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
Yeah, well, that just goes like when they say, a smile goes a long way. It's even like without verbal, it's just the energy.
We're back to that. That is extremely important. It is all about the energy. Most definitely. All about the energy. Okay.
Yeah, because I just had a point like down at the bottom of 26 where I was talking about the chips being genuine. Isn't that part of being our authentic self is the discernment? What is the relationship that is genuine or for our highest good and those that are not?
Oh,
the only reason I'm bringing that up is because a lot of times young people have that problem in relationships.
Well, you could always say, if you're going to use that level of understanding, that they are resolving karma. And remember, if we're going to pay attention to how James expresses where the attention or intention of karma comes from. For instance, there are no coincidences, whether it's in relationships or not. But even the person at the checkout is someone that you have encountered before in another lifetime scenario. So and finding the synchronicity in what he's written is you're going to resolve all of that. You're going to come across that because it's a part of a layer of energy that you dealt with. So you're going to pass through that again. The person that you smile with at checkout, the bank teller, whatever, these are all instances that are being repeated because it's all a part of your historical intention. And so what you're talking about is getting into this deep Romeo and Juliet type thing, I think, right? I don't know. Yeah. And that also is karma. That also is karma.
Yeah, a lot of young people nowadays, they're like 18 to 35, I guess, category. I hear a lot about just having a hard time, like trusting people, trusting the opposite sex. And this isn't even like they're young. So it's not like, they've had maybe multiple heartbreaks. And are you saying that it could be carryover from a prior life?
Yes. Part of it is carryover from a previous life. And let us not forget that during this time of shift, for this information to be presented on any level right now is it's just it's indicative of what's going on all the levels right now, as far as shifting or activation of, I'll call it ascension, which is taking place right now. I know, and you and I have discussed privately all of the different, well, not all of, but there are a lot of different light workers that have suddenly resigned their position.
Yeah.
Because they can't handle it. They weren't aware that they were going to be really entrenched into
that much.
It's like I used to make jokes about how I got to where I am. Knowing me the way I am, they probably said, okay, we want you to do this, that, and that when you get down there. And I'm like, oh, I can handle that, no problem. Yeah, I got that, no problem, bring it on, whatever. And so the thing is, when you're in that space where, and I'm using Eastern philosophy as my groundwork. I've always been attracted to Eastern and Asian theory and methodologies and whatever. And so using that, you're assuming that, oh, yeah, I get there, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be like super person, and you get into this position and it's like, oh my God, I didn't realize this is what we gotta do. This is the job. Oh no, wait a minute, let's it. And so a lot of light workers are they're like taking a second look and like, this is what I came in for. Well, maybe I need a break for a minute. Maybe I need to rest for a minute. That kind of thing. So I'm digressing. Going back to what you were saying about the young people, that they weren't aware of the work that it's going to take when you establish a relationship, whether it's spiritual or psychological or emotional. It requires work. There is no, and this I agree with James about law of attraction is very good in that it can help you keep a positive frame of mind. However, everything is not materialized just because of law of attraction. So it's just it takes a moment, and these things that are going on now, all these changes that you're seeing, it's still all a part of the shift. We're still shifting. Okay, we're still coming up on different levels of energy that we have no memory of encountering, even though we may have encountered them before. And so some people are like, wow, this is a lot of stuff to deal with. But it can be dealt with. It's in our memory banks. It's in the other book that James referred to, the one that comes from First Source. We just have to plug into it, and plugging into it is not child's play. Plugging into it requires meditation, and that's why the 6 virtues, using that as a mantra to get into a state of meditation, is really, it's very good. But you can use not just the 6 virtues. You can use mantras. Period. Om Namah Shivaya. Om. The Lord's Prayer can be a mantra. It depends on how you're focusing. I don't know. I hope I made some kind of sense.
Yeah.
But you remember, we all remember, we're in the process of shifting right now, big time. Especially this month is leading us into the Lion's Gate. That's why I went on the air last night, because I realized that a lot of people have forgotten that the Lion's Gate is one of the reasons why July is such a hectic month in this time space right now. There are stargates that are opening, leading up to that point, and energies are shifting, and the heart is extremely important in dealing with all of that. So being focused on the heart in meditation is, I mean, that is the key to everything.
I heard that this eclipse coming up the 27th
Mm-hmm.
is, if I'm not mistaken, is supposed to be one of the longest ones in this century or something like that. I heard. Have you heard that as well?
Yes, and that's because the Lions Gate that's opening this coming August the 8th is going to be, it is one of the most important ones that we will be encountering. So this is why the different gates that are up. We had a gate open on July 4th, got another gate opening on this Sunday, the 22nd. We've got a gate opening on the 31st of this month, and a lot of people from the old religions, like the Druids and the Celtics, Hebrew, they're familiar with that. The Wiccans, they've been using that energy that comes in on July 31st from that particular gate. They've been using it for eons because it is a source that's extremely powerful. When I say source that's powerful, it's a fluctuation of energy that's coming through that's allowing us to embrace it and take ourselves to other levels of consciousness. But Wiccans have a name for the gate that's opening on the 31st of July. And then that's probably one of the most important gates to open before the 8th of August. That we're not in a bubble, people. We're in a universe. We're in a universe of multiverses where fluctuation of energy and time and space is something that we've been taught to regard only on the third dimensional level, and that is not how it exists. Oops.
Well, he mentioned James. Yeah, James mentioned the grids in here. I noticed he mentioned the magnetic and something else.
Yeah.
I forgot. On the prior page, he didn't mention, though, the crystalline grid. Isn't that the one that these diamond light codes and all of this is supposed to be bringing in, is the crystalline grid? Is it true?
Whether or not that's true, I would be guessing. I'm only familiar with the grid that I've been told I'm supposed to work with, and that grid has a lot of gemstone and crystalline energy involved in it. So, and John, you've heard John and I talk about the grid that's, you know, the one in 220. And so there are some people that know about that particular grid, and they don't have too much to say because the mystery around it is that, you know, well, who exactly is orchestrating the opening of this grid? So we're getting information bit by bit, but it depends on how you look at it. I mean, this is a crystalline situation that we're opening into. We, as humans, are shifting from carbon base to, if I'm not mistaken, crystalline base. And it's one of the reasons why there's so many indigo and crystalline children are coming through now. And we're really off. We're really in outfield right now, but
okay.
Yeah, no, but if you guys don't have a problem with going a little off field, I don't have a problem with it. I just want to make sure that whoever views this gets whatever is supposed to get out of it. I have no idea, but the crystalline and the crystalline is a part of how the shift is going to be energized. James mentioned,
yeah, the prior page about the shifting the third dimensional grids into higher dimensional grids. This is my impression. There's a lot of grid workers, or what do they call them? The ones that are planting crystals around, you know, different areas. They're going to different vortexes and placing that crystalline energy. That's what I was wondering about.
I have a crystal grid in my house that generates out to the property lines where I'm living. And that's right, you haven't been to my house yet. But most people don't pay attention to all the stuff that's around my house, inside my house, because of that, because there is a crystalline grid here, and it resonates and it oscillates. There is a crystalline grid from the planet, and that resonates and oscillates, and it's the main reason probably that we're still able to breathe because it serves many purposes, and it's important that the energy that you can get yourself to the energy whenever you can, but the energy is there. You're in an area down in Miami where John talks about how the 7.83 is being blocked. And see, that's something that comes from the crystals as well. And then if you, I mean, we could, now, if you want to go crystals, we could be here till midnight. So we won't do that. We'll make that a part of the Goddess Forum next week, because I'm back on doing the Goddess thing regularly, and I've started a mystery school where I go into a little more detail about certain things like that. So, and you will get a link to that, because it's that one is not going to be open to the public. It's going to be private. I'm going to do private videos on the mystery school, but the goddesses will be open for me. But yeah, the crystals, the fact that the crystals work with us intentionally, they are alive. They are living, sentient beings, and they work with us intentionally. They come in with the purpose of assisting our memory of our book from first source being able to kick in to assist with the ascension, not just of us, but of the planet in general. So it's a wonderful time to be here. And so keep that in mind, that since you're here intentionally to assist in whatever is going to be taking place. And to be that person that someone can refer to as someone that understands what they're talking about. Because before now, generations before this generation, you could start talking about stuff like this and people would think, uh-oh, we got a live one here. somebody take away the medication or whatever. And so it's, but now it's more open, and we're more accepting and receiving of different ideas at different levels. And even my brother, Mr. Macho Man, considers himself a light worker. So I'm like, this stuff is good stuff. He considers himself a light worker, but we are having a few of them close down shop because the energies are so powerful. And what they've got to remember, like I said, when you and I were at John's, is that this is not the time to give up. It's just the time to band together. We should be coming together as a whole, as light workers, to reinforce our energies so that we can just, I'm not talking about the battle that's going on. I'm not talking about being on the front line. All of that we know already. That the ones that are out here talking and running their mouths and then like me, and then turning around and taking off. Yeah, that's because we're on the front line. And there are people on the front line that we have no idea are on the front line. And it's necessary because of the fluctuations of energies, and then the I could go on and on. Let's change the subject. I could go on and on. Yeah. Let's get back to the meeting. Coherence. Yeah. Okay. All right. So emotional coherence. And we can. This is what I meant to set up, was the music from the Winwich How practice.
Oh, yeah.
You can find it online. Yeah, I love it. It's phenomenal. And Akil, I will send you a link so that you can find it. But the rhythms of the music is really something that you should. Yeah, there are codes in it.
They're encoded.
Okay. Yeah. Music is coherent sound where rhythm, melody, tempo, and harmony unite to produce its coherence. Without these imposing forces, we live in a random sound field of noises. Similarly, there I go with that word again. The 6 heart virtues take the emotional energy we are all imbued with and impose coherence. And in this coherence, our emotional energy is transformed from a noisy radiation into a healing, directed, and transformative force. Imagine you are at the ocean and you're watching a beautiful sunset. The light radiates in striking colors of pink, orange, and red, glistening off of the turquoise water. The air itself seems to hold this radiating color field in some suspended slow motion dance. Now, from a scientific perspective, the light is incoherent. Despite its spectacular colors, the light photons are unaligned, fanning out in every imaginable direction. For the sake of contrast, let's imagine this same light was somehow made coherent, like a laser beam of light, so that all of the light particles, or photons, were traveling in the same direction on the identical wavelengths. The light is now transformed into a new functionality, one that can now be used for surgical applications, or measuring the distance between the Earth and Moon with never before imagined accuracy, to name just 2 examples. These different aspects of light are good metaphors to understand as they apply to emotions. Emotions, when incoherent, radiate in all directions as energy, creating an impression within the space or field of our senses. Sometimes the impression is beautiful, like a shimmering sunset, when the emotions are soft and light, and sometimes it is more akin to a furious storm when there is anger or depression. If our emotional energy can be aligned in coherence, it can be transformed to a higher functionality like the laser, and its range goes well beyond the range of our senses. It can truly touch the outer edges of our world or delve deeply into the inner realms of soul. The keystone of the language how practice is coherence, and the reason being that the expression of the 6 heart virtues builds coherence and the attendant ability to radiate your emotional energy to selected targets anywhere and to any time. This is the outreach of soul to heart, mind to heart, to outflow. And in this cycle, the emotional energy becomes the connective ingredient that integrates the individual with the community of humankind, and even more generally to all life forms. Amen. There is growing awareness that humans are part of a vast ecology of energy that includes the sun and planets within our solar system, and perhaps even beyond. Our sun generates space weather that interacts with Earth's geomagnetic field and creates profound influences to our weather, mood, chemical balance, and even the fine-tuned senses of our intuition and psychic abilities. It is not a leap to say that the sun, 93 million miles away, influences our primary centers of the heart and brain in surprisingly vibrant ways. We're talking about the matrix now, people. Collective human energetic field. The research of Halberg, Persinger, Braud, and dozens of others have shown that the sun's geomagnetic field affects Earth's geomagnetic field, which affects our personal electromagnetic field, including our critical heart and brain rhythms. In the near future, this will be shown to be a two-way street. That is to say, humans on a collective level, energetically through their emotional radiation, can influence Earth and our broader solar system. I will cite one example and the evidence of this interaction. NOAA, and that's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, in order to study and prepare for major weather anomalies like hurricanes, has several geochronous satellites that monitor a variety of weather influences, including geomagnetic fluctuations of the Earth. Two of their satellites in 2001, GOES 8 and 10, orbiting geochronously. Oh my God. My brain is still West Indian, folks. I'm sorry. On opposite sides of the Earth, produced a provocative view into how collective human energetics can influence the Earth's geomagnetic field. Okay, if you need me to, I can go over that again. Hello?
Just the last three sentences.
Okay. The last three sentences.
You know, Sherry's voice, maybe, yeah, I don't know, your microphone is going in and out.
My microphone?
Yeah.
Sherry.
No,
Sherry.
Sherry's
mine?
Clear. I can hear her very clear. But yours is kind of fading out.
Mine is going in and out. Oh, sorry about that. I've had some tech difficulties. Sherry, see if you could do the last three sentences for me with some clarity, please.
Okay, I'll do the last little paragraph there. I think that's 3 sentences.
Oh, great.
Yeah, the example from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, study and prepare for major weather anomalies like hurricanes, has several geosynchronous satellites that monitor a variety of weather influences, including geomagnetic fluctuations of the Earth. 2 of their satellites in 2001, GOES 8 and 10, orbiting geosynchronously on opposite sides of the Earth, produced a provocative view into how collective human energetics can influence the Earth's geomagnetic field. If you want to go on, there's a graph there. As a graph below shows these 2 satellites orbiting opposing sides of Earth over the equator at an altitude of 22,300 miles, detected a significant spike in Earth's geomagnetic flux as the event of September 11, 2001 started, and an increasing level of incoherence or flux continued to unfold 5 days after the event.
Wow.
I am not trying to posit a scientific theory, but follow this logical progression, if you will. Humans emanate an electromagnetic field, the heart being its most powerful source, radiating out in a toroidal, constantly fluxing pattern 8 to 15 feet from the body. This energetic pattern changes form constantly as we think different thoughts and feel different feelings. The feelings of our heart have the greatest effect on the signature pattern of our electromagnetic field. When an event occurs as dramatic as the September 11, 2001 incident, the collective human electromagnetic field is affected more deeply than usual because it is a larger percentage of the overall population at an emotional level. To help you imagine a fog of light that encircles the whole planet, representing the collective human energetic field. It's a matter of ratios. The more we as individuals add ingredients of stress, fear, and uncertainty, more the collective human energetic coherent and unstable, which in turn is instantly detected by Earth and processed into its own geomagnetic field.
Okay. Now, whoa. Okay, I just wanted to say that 15 feet that he's talking about,
right?
That is in yoga, that has always been considered the range of our aura. If we are undeveloped, meaning we don't practice any type of meditation or focusing or whatever, about 15 feet is what we reflect to someone who can detect our aura or sees auras, and we can all see auras. But there is equipment that besides what the NOAA NOAA offers, there is equipment that can measure our auras. What am I talking about? What is it? The Kirlian photography.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of them. I've had photographs done of Kirlian photography, and so I know the technology, and that is one of the many ways that we can detect. So the 15 feet is our natural aura, our natural space. If we meditate and practice a series of whatever we do to stay focused, it can grow. And Sherry was talking about the Earth aura before, I think earlier, right? When we first, right. So our aura adds, what he's doing is confirming that our aura adds to or contributes to the aura of the planet. Okay. Alrighty. So, Sherry, do you feel like doing the next page? You had something to say.
Sure. Yeah. No, I was just going to say, is this why the worldwide, like, and I think this helps with having the interconnecting worldwide, because the more we all meditate together, that energy just grows. And they said it kind of like counteracts, I guess, against the fear maybe. And some of the things that. Okay. Got it.
Exactly. That's what I meant, if I wasn't clear about it, when I said that light workers should be, and I'm sure we will get into the process of embracing our auras or uniting our auras for the not just for protection, but just for the sake of surrounding the entire planet with the light that we can surround it with. If you get a group of light workers together and they all are focused on just the one thing, you would be amazed at the energy, and it has happened. There is a psychologist who works with mindfulness training, is what they call meditation these days. And I don't know if she still does it, but she used to go from city to city wherever there was a lot of challenges with violence, and she would take a group. This was her research study. She would take a group of meditators with her, and they would just sit in an area and meditate, and the crime rates would go down where they were. She did her experiment in let's see, she tried Washington, Chicago, and I think she went to LA. I can't remember her name, but I can find it, because well, you're required to do research studies anyway. But it was something that she had done, I say, in the last couple of decades. And that's just one of the studies that have been done on our powers, our ability to go ahead and just create, for want of a better term. But we are co-creators. That's what we do. Okay.
Yeah. Can you imagine the power of that in the schools, the schools of children?
Yes.
You know, I know there are some Hawaii, was telling me, where they do that. The kids don't follow any sort of I guess curriculum like they have here in the States, but they do is meditation and yoga. I thought, wouldn't that be amazing? I would bring that here.
I would love to
see a dramatic drop in the ADHD, I think.
I would love to see it. David Lynch has a program that he uses TM, Transcendental Meditation, to facilitate that type of thing. And he's got a school in Wales that Paul McCartney helped him set up. Russell Simmons helped him with, let's see, there's a school in Detroit, there's a school in LA, there's a school in Nevada, I think, Las Vegas also. I would love to see it down here. I've been hoping that for a while. I've been doing stuff on that for a while. But nobody listens to me, but that's okay. But no, I'm just kidding.
Yes,
But no, no, oh my God.
Are you guys familiar with Diamond here?
No,
Oh,
I'm not.
I'll send it to both of you. It's a really phenomenal process. It's a community, a living community in Italy, and they use crystals and vibration for healing, and they have. I think they don't do they don't use any kind of animal products, and it's a whole community, and they built a community. They have a whole government. It's called Diamond here, like the diamond and here, like human, HUR, Diamond here.
Oh,
And they've been around.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I'd like to read on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Casadega. Casadega has a similar background over in Central Florida. It's Central Florida. It's not far from Orlando. Okay, I will ask Sherry to do page number 30. And
30 down to informing that. Okay.
Okay, and I'll do 31.
In other words, planets and stars affect us, and we in turn affect them. This is an interconnection of consciousness at the level of energy, or interwoven fields of energy that resonate, entangle, and inform. It is like a symphony of sound and light waves that emanate from the chef. I guess they're going to abbreviate it. Chef or chef. It's the, what they say, collective human energetic field, what they're going to, interacting with the frequency, the symphony of sound and from Earth's geomagnetic field. The two dance together in a reciprocal energetic exchange, and it's for this reason that what happens with the field can either facilitate or hinder the Earth's ability to shift and evolve gracefully. More practical, we have seen the idea of virus of global warming spread across the news media into our schools, governments, businesses, and even religious quarters. The world seems poised to make shifts that are in the best interest of our planet, symbolic of humanity's role as stewards of Earth. Humanity can become aware of how its ecological insensitivity has created dire conditions on the planet. Conditions that left unchecked could create enormous catastrophes in weather, geology, and social changes. So we have the motivation and we have agreement on the action plans and the inner commitment to implement them. What will facilitate the transformation of this knowledge and facts to an agreed upon action plan and commitment to implementation? If we can become increasingly aware that humanity and Earth dance together in the clear-headed realms of evolutionary expansion, that there is an interconnection and that this interconnection is mutually responsive and reinforcing, perhaps then we will turn the key. When we look upon the field as vital to our well-being and the clarity of our connection to Earth, we will not only turn the key, we will open the door and walk through to the next dimension together. Keep going, or?
Keep going.
Okay, inform the collective human energetic field. I realize that these concepts are very wide and deep, almost so much so that they seem unrelated to our personal lives. But if you examine them carefully, you will see how they bring a new meaning to your life. If you consider that you are emanating an energy field throughout your existence, regardless of what you believe your existence consists of in terms of space-time, the one thing you can be fully responsible for is the signature field that you radiate into the collective field. Every human, every life form actually contributes to the whole in this way, though with different intensities and effects. This is why it is so important. Oh, okay.
No, I'll take it from there. Take a deep breath. Okay. This is why it is so important to understand the deeper perceptions of interconnection and raise your awareness of how you personally interact with the whole of life. It is a matter of taking responsibility for the emotional and mental energies that intertwine within your electromagnetic energetic field and contribute a living presence to the shelf and by association to Earth itself. We each have a dynamic, ever-changing emotional fingerprint that we leave on the shelf, and its effects can endure through time and space. In order to keep a complex subject reality simple and straightforward, I will paint the differences with only a few colors, but bear in mind that the range is near endless in variation. As depicted in the diagram below, did I show the diagram? Oh, no? Okay. As depicted in the diagram below, Figure 8 shows that the individual human energetic field informs and contributes to the chef, and that the chef is comprised of thousands of facets, colors, each reflecting a point on the diamond-shaped object depicted in Figure B. I am using the term viral in two distinct ways. On the left side of the diamond, on its horizontal stable axis, there is a negative viral effect. On the right side, it is positive. The terms negative and positive refer to the IHEF and the qualitative nature of the contribution to the chef. The term viral indicates the degree to which an IHEF has the ability to influence other IHEF contributions to become more like itself, simply through exposure to the viral IHEF. Let me see, let me just put this online. Okay, this is the diagram that we're talking about. Let's see, can you guys see?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. So that's parity, we're working it out. There we go. For example, a single viral positive IHEF will be more potent than 1,000 benign IHEFs. Thus, those individuals who operate in a stable positive or negative viral state have a significant and disproportional influence on the chef, CHEF. Most people operate on or near the vertical axis, dynamic, where they fluctuate between the poles of the negative and positive IHEF, winding their way in a snake-like pattern between the positive and negative. In doing so, their IHEF contribution tends to lack potency, though because of the sheer numbers in this rank, they collectively set the normative values. Detecting the CHEF. The key lesson in this is to realize that just as Earth's geomagnetic field detects the chef, so do we as individuals, even though we may not be conscious or understand how it is possible. There is also a magnetic attraction that plays an influential role here. When our IHEF evolves to a more stable viral positive state, we detect the viral influences of those IHEF contributions from the most potent viral positive sources, and we are influenced in our behaviors and attitudes accordingly. Okay. Now,
Sharon, hold on.
Yes.
Sharon.
Yes.
Before you go on, just that little part there, in layman's terms, how do you interpret that?
You are reading my mind, Sharon. How I interpret it. Okay. As soon as I saw it, I don't know if you're familiar with any Bible stories, but first two things ran across my mind was encounters I've had with people that I consider to be gurus or teachers or manifestors of high levels of frequencies. You could feel their presence before you get in their presence.
Okay.
The second thing it reminded me of is two of my favorite tales from scripture. I'm not endorsing whether or not the Bible has been accurately portrayed, but there are two stories about Yeshua. One is the woman with the issue of blood having to touch the hem of the garment. Okay, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. Is a woman, she was sick for however long a period of time. She could not get close to the master teacher. And so she, my understanding, she dropped to the ground, and because she felt that if she could just touch a piece of his clothing, that she would be healed. And so she got into range, she touched his robe or whatever it was that he had on. He felt it. He stopped because he was in a crowd, and he turned around and said, "Who touched me?" And so she was, from my understanding, she wasn't even that close, but she pulled on his energy. Okay, she could feel his, everyone could feel his field. And so this was something that she felt that all I need to do is get close enough to his field, and I got it. The second story is about the centurion. The centurion back then during Roman times, they did not associate with Jews for whatever reasons. The master teacher didn't care about that. This man had someone he needed healed, and didn't bring him with him through the crowd. He left him home. He was too sick to move. But he was like, all I need is your word that the deed is done, that he's healed, and I know it's done. And the faith that he had, that the energy field would just hit point and do whatever it needs to do, was such that while he's standing there talking to the master teacher, somebody comes from his house and says, "Guess what? He's healed." Because the master teacher is telling him, "No problem. I'll come. Take me to where he is. I'll come, whatever." And the centurion says, "You don't have to come. I know your energy. All you got to do is say the word, and I know it's done." And so he said, "Okay." And he said the word, and the next thing, he's, "Oh, so-and-so is healed. It's done." I've seen, you guys don't need to know my life story right now, but I've seen instances where you're not in, and I was explaining this to whom? Somebody. You, Sherry, you and I were talking about Robert and his ability to facilitate, assist in the healing process. And I think I mentioned to you that's one of the things that's taught in Reiki, is that you don't have to be in the same room with the person. Your intention, which means that you're sending that electromagnetic energy out there, if they're receptive to it, the deal is done. You don't have to be in the same room. They can be on the other side of the world. And this is a level in Reiki that we call distant healing. And so some people say, excuse me, "Oh, you need a photograph." No, you don't. You don't even need the name. If you are someone who is acquainted with your energy, your own expectations of your energy field, and you know that you have faith in your expectations of your energy field, you know that there's certain things that you can call upon from yourself, and you don't have to worry about it. And so if somebody brings to you just the thought of, they're carrying the image of that person in their mind. If you, okay, this is not going to sound scientific, but if you are focused on who you are, you can pick up the vibration of the energy. And if that individual is open to the frequency, the deed is done. Okay, I didn't know. You guys are quiet. So, okay.
And what you said, I get it. Yeah, okay. I get it.
Okay. Okay. I have a tendency to just, I travel. I tell you.
Very good examples. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right. All righty. And so, where did I leave off? Now I don't know where I left off. Okay. Sherry, you remember where I was just before this? Okay, there is another diagram which I'm going to put up on the screen before I start talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Up a little bit.
Okay. And now, for the most of us, this happens beneath our conscious radar. And I was talking about the field that we were just talking about. If you examine the figure B diagram and assess where you believe your belief, IHEF, is positioned on any given day, consider how you can evolve it to the most desired state. And this is a small green triangle, but there is no colors on this diagram, so we won't worry about it. The When-Which-How practice is an accelerator that will move you in this direction or help you remain there. Now, I'm not boasting on any particular methodology. However, if one follows yoga or Kabbalah or Zoroastrianism, if you have a ritual that you use to follow to get yourself in focus, you can do as well as with the 6 virtues. Actually, 6 virtues is a constant term in yoga, the higher vibrations of yoga, like Kriya and Kundalini yoga. Okay, I know this subject is complicated, and from my perspective, it is not easy to explain with words of static, 2-dimensional diagrams. I would ask you to be patient and persevere in your understanding if you feel uncertain of the deeper meanings in this section related to interconnection. These are important elements in your motivation and intent relative to the unfolding of your purpose and ability to practice the 6 art virtues. Remember that interconnection is attended with interaction and emotional resonance. While there are some who would downplay the significance of whether that interaction and resonance is anchored in positive or negative virtues, there is a difference of enormous consequence between the 2 poles, to you as an individual, to the collective of humanity, and to the earth itself. At one level, there is no positive or negative in the sense of good and evil, but in the dimension of time-space and the prevailing construct of evolution and ascension of consciousness, it matters a great deal. The When-Which-How practice is like a homemade device that helps you navigate to the stable, viral, positive place that enables your purpose to truly radiate and have impact within this world at this time. There is very little glamour associated with this practice, as it leaves no historical footprint in the context of a material legacy. In the case of When-Which-How practice and the viral positive position, these are largely invisible as they are not made up of material things, but instead are on an energetic transmission. Their potency is emotional energy, aligned to specific behaviors which express themselves in our words and actions. You cannot bottle these up in material things, unless purely for artistic purposes you want to convey their shadowy essence for others to acknowledge. If you desire to achieve emotional self-mastery and contribute to the chef in a way that accelerates its evolution gracefully and naturally, then living from the heart is an excellent path to walk. I have suggested many times that patience plays a role because the path is not easy and has many, many layers of nuance and subtlety. But if your purpose has eluded you, or you fear its tardiness is unending, this path and the practices described herein will guide you to reclaim your purpose and to live a meaningful life. And I know I talk about yoga a lot, but I have to say that all of the concepts he has mentioned I learned them in yoga a couple of thousand years ago. I'm older than I look. Anyway, section 5, event temple and their purpose. Now, the event temple, if I can say this, is something that we are, the three of us, practicing right now, actually. It, it is a level of it, and basically it is going through higher levels of our understanding. Okay. The when, which, how practice is a core practice, faith, agnostic, and grounded in the perennial wisdom of sages and the interior voices of spiritual guides throughout time. It is the central activating principle upon which the event templates are designed. Event temples are the coalescing force for the community of when, which, how practices to collectively send their energetic voices to the needful ears of those enmeshed in the densities of a world awash in change, disenfranchisement, separation, greed, and profound but fearful changes of a new reality. The event temples have a multidimensional purpose that has been alluded to in this paper, but will in this section be described in more detail. When we contribute our individual energetic field, IHEF, to a selected target as defined in a specific event temple, we are performing 6 important functions. Number 1, we are practicing the 6 heart virtues in a communal way and learning how we can synchronize our heart's capacity to send its energetic qualities with others and create a resonant, supportive field that assists all others. There is the collective, this is number 2, there is the collective and individual contribution to the chef and helping to increase the vibrancy of the viral positive therein. Number 3, every time you participate in an event temple, you are crystallizing your purpose as an energetic being in the worlds of time-space. You are kindling a key objective for which you embody in a human instrument and are awakening the energetic reach of your consciousness, empowering your sense of connection to all life. Sherry, I'm going to ask you to do the last 3 for me, please.
Okay, just as the chef exists for humanity, there also exist group chefs that can evolve at a much faster tempo than the overall species. The participants of the event temples will create their own chef, and this chef will evolve very rapidly to act as a viral positive energetics. Each participant of the event temples will be provided an online tracking system free of charge that will enable them to evaluate their progress over time on the when, which, how practice and each of the 6 heart virtues. This will enable an accelerated trajectory of learning for each individual and a supportive system to persist upon the path. The event temples will be a practice area for energetic transmissions of an individual and collective kind. In this practice, you'll feel the support of a conscious community and refine your artistry of expression of the 6 heart virtues. The event temple's website will be a place where people can share their ideas and technique enhancements with people of similar interests. The event temple's website is a dynamic online analog of Living from the Heart, and this e-paper is the foundation stone of the event temples. Often the act of assembling your questions in a well-structured form will, in itself, help you better understand the nuance of this practice. Just want to interject here really quick. Remember when we first started meeting, I told Robert that we were not able to get in, that we were blocked out of the event temples. Has anyone ever tried to get in there? Because I couldn't log in.
I've tried, not lately. I have tried several times this year. And usually it takes me back into more information on James. I haven't tried in the last, I think, 2 months, perhaps. But we have a Lyricus group Facebook page. And so that was going to be one of my suggestions this evening, is that from now on, whoever listens to this and you guys go in on the Facebook page and access what's available, because the energies of the light workers that need to come forth and unite need to be stimulated just a moment, just a bit. You don't have to, I mean, I had one person upset with me about this, what we're doing, because it seemed to them that I was promoting a religion and that I was trying to take away from the fact that we are the source comes from within us. And I hope, well, they didn't have a book, they didn't have all the information, but I hope that you guys are connecting with that, because that is what these meetings mean to me. And being online, it's like being able to share not just the theories of the Wenwu Chow or the wing makers, whatever you want to call it. It is being able to unite that energy, focus that energy, because no matter what we say we believe in, if we don't focus those energies, we tend to just sort of fade into whatever is going on. This is an attempt to assist people who want to have a direction on whatever it is they're following. So even a disagreement is better than no participation whatsoever if you're not participating from within. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. This section 6, I think is the very last section.
You're determined to get through this chapter.
Okay, but it is late. It's like, if you guys, okay, I tell you what, I was not planning on doing another session. However, since it's late and since you guys showed up, we'll have a temple next week, okay? And that will allow me to have enough time to download the music.
Oh.
And okay, so that you guys can get into the music. And that will definitely be the last one for online, because I would like to follow what James suggests, is once you get through the material, you take a period of time to just kind of let it, just kind of grok with it. You know what I mean? Just let it settle in. I don't know. I haven't spoken with Robert about that yet, but it would be a good thing. It would be something that is up to the individual as far as how you want to integrate whatever you're reading into your life. If I have any complaint about this, is that, well, it's not a complaint. It's more like it's tickling my brain cells and allowing me to remember a lot of what he discusses. For me, it's like, okay, let me put it this way. You guys have heard me talk about, I stayed in the ashrams before. So to me, this is kind of like reminding me of my own history, my own stuff that everything I've read before, and it's just bringing it back, and that's good. We need to constantly remember. This is what keeps, or should keep, the light workers from resigning and retiring. Sherry knows I was about to quit as a light worker there for a minute, and I'm like, you know, it's getting tough down here. And so, but it's supposed to get tough to remind you of where you're going and what the job is. And so that's a good thing. But I feel like everyone has already heard or is familiar with this information, and we're just remembering what we have within us, this knowledge within us. It's there. We get involved in this and that, and then it's like, oh, this is new, and no, this is not new. None of what he's discussed in his paper is new. Okay, the music, as it comes from the Windmakers, I find it really very, very awesome. You've listened to it, right, Cherry?
Yes.
Yeah,
whole,
it is. Yeah, I've listened to. It's awesome, and it does trigger what I would say is karmic memories. For me, anyway. I don't know what it does for anybody else, but you guys know most of my story. So.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the music. So when you get it going.
So
yeah, when I hear it, like an integration of the first thing I get is like there's different cultures that come through.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's like, yeah, you're traveling through and there's all these different like pieces and how it comes together. I don't know. It's just really moving music.
Yes, it is.
I have to agree. I like it.
Yeah, I like it. And I play it sometimes in my off moments when I'm in my off moments. Okay, so because it's almost 10 o'clock, I did not mean to keep you guys so long.
That's okay.
Yeah, I promise next week we'll start at 8 and go on till 9. So it shouldn't take us that long to finish up and to listen to the music.
Yeah,
and then
you're almost done.
Yeah, so we're headed there, and then we can decide, because there's a book that he did behind this one that we could start reading chapters from. I'm only going to do next week back to back. If I continue with this, it will still have to be like an every other week thing, because I'm back in school and da-da-da-da and all sorts of lovely stuff. So and I'm doing the goddess thing on Wednesday evenings now. So I need to organize my time.
Do you send out links to that, the goddess thing?
Yeah, well, yeah, I can send out links to that. Last night I did a discussion on the Chaldean and Pythagorean numerology systems, which I'm starting to fall in love with the Chaldean. It describes me to a T, in my opinion. Whereas the Pythagorean is just a little, I don't know, a bit more involved, but it allows you to use whatever name that you're known by. Whereas the Pythagorean requires that you do the name that's on your birth certificate, kind of thing. And so I gave out instructions on that, on how to read your own destiny with it, and I gave out the definitions of 9 destinies. That was last night, and this is not my curriculum. This is what's coming in through spirit, because I asked them, what am I supposed to be doing again? And they're like, work with the numerology. You like that? Work with that. So that's how that happened. So whatever they set up for next week, that's what will take place. Anyway, ladies. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, is it like this, though? Is it on Google Hangout? You do the same forum, or you're on Blog Talk, or what is it?
I do the same forum. I don't know. Blog Talk's been trying to get me to come back on. I don't know. I might not. I don't know about that yet. But it's on Google. And if you go in for You Are a Healer, and just what was yesterday was the 18th, and just look for what I did for the 18th, and you'll see it.
Okay,
I brought up the numerology because of the effect that it also will be having on the Lionsgate, which that is everything is connected. Everything, the numerology, the sacred geometry, it's all like the schematics. Like, say for instance, if you were an architect, you know what a blueprint looks like, and it doesn't make sense when you look at it from a distance, but if you know what the coordinates mean and how it reflects on size, you understand how to put the building up. So sacred geometry and numerology and that sort of thing, it's basically like the schematics of how we got here and what exists in the temple that it exists in. And so, and to me, that's important because a lot of times we don't realize just how deep we are, how important we are, and how much we already understand. And so this is a way to just stimulate the gray cells, get us back on point, in my opinion. I wear the 6-pointed star. And so only because it's, you know, it's a reminder to me, and I use it in meditation. So, but it's something that, if that's what our memories rely on from our karmic interactions, and that will help bring us from point A to B very quickly. It can. It depends on you. It depends on how you feel about you. The IHEF.
Mhm.
Okay. And so, with that,
Thank you both.
God bless you, ladies, so much
Thank
for your participation in being a part of the auric field that is nourishing the auric field of the planet, which is what you guys are. Okay, it's what you ladies are. A part of the auric field that is nourishing the auric field of the planet. And namaste, Om Shanti Shanti. God bless every single soul who is here in spirit, if not in body. I'm going to say the Om as we leave, but thank you so much. And
Thank you both. Thank you both. It was beautiful. Best.
thank
Maya
you.
Q. Thank
Bye.
you for joining. It's good to
Thank
see you.
Yes, it's always good to see her. Okay.
Best dreams.
Those cool glasses.
Yes, I like those.
Love those glasses.
Yes,
Oh, thank you.
yes.
Good night.
Good night.
Nice.
Good night. Om. Om. Om Namah Shivaya.